the airport observation of about 80
as well, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like it's kind of bowing there as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So even if a tornado is not on the ground necessarily, we're still talking about absolutely the potential for some damage to be witnessed there in relation to the wind. Any new updates as far as, are there any spotters out there, Blake or Sarah, that have identified a tornado touchdown or any further damage?
I don't see any confirmation of a tornado on the ground. Further damage reports. Continue to see some hail reports embedded in this line as well, so just keep that in mind. But still the top threat, that latest gust report coming in at 80 miles per hour at the airport, several other gusts coming in between about 60 and 75 within the last couple of minutes. No confirmation of that tornado on the ground, but again, with it being at the radar site and it being rain wrapped, meaning there's rain ahead of that potential rotation, going to be very tricky to determine if one is on the ground. So take it seriously. This line is moving relatively quickly, so as it continues to track off to the northeast, it will be out of the region relatively quickly. So you need to be in that shelter or safe space for the next couple of minutes, and then you should be mostly in the clear, and we'll let you know when that time comes as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. Yeah, it will be difficult to identify.
There's a new tornado warning. They extended it, I believe.
Did they?
Yep, for 6:30 for Barry, Kent, Ionia.
Is that one we were just tracking?
The one south by Middleville?
I'm waiting for it to pop.
Let's take a look. Yep.
There you go, yep.
I believe so.
There you go.
There it is. So there we have our new tornado warning. That lasts until 6:30 tonight. You can see that's pretty much at the intersection there with Middleville and Irving. We'll focus in closer here.
Severe thunderstorm capable of producing both tornadoes and extensive straight line damage near Middleville, moving northeast at 60 miles per hour.
And a new damage report, lots of debris on M37 in southern Barrie. Again, that's the part of the line that we were tracking that had those really intense winds. So it is verifying in that way.
Yeah, and it looks like that's basically right over the city of Irving as far as where we have that best tornado signature potentially.
Yeah.
There's one in Irving. There's also a little bit of a couplet trying to take shape slightly further off to the south.
Yeah.
What we're seeing, you guys, if you're just coming in now, is this is a strong line of thunderstorms with damaging wind gusts. But what happens sometimes is we see these little notches in these lines, which are quick, brief spin-up tornadoes. And so that's why we're also dealing with that tornado warning, in addition to that severe thunderstorm warning. Regardless, the damaging winds, the potential for tornadoes, this is a very strong line of storms. A good idea to find that shelter at this time.
Yeah, that appears to be where we might have some other spin-ups that are occurring near M43. Looks like near Sager Road. They're near Middleville and Irving right now.
Trying to look in our Gun Lake tower camera, there's so much rain coming down. That's the issue with this line. Is we have, oh, looks like the severe thunderstorm warning was just upgraded.
Your phone's gonna go off. It's a WIA alert. So we get those alerts on our phone when we see destructive tags on these severe thunderstorm warnings, which means it's capable of producing winds 80 miles per hour or greater. So that is another reason why sirens would be sounding in your county, in addition to the potential of these tornado warnings. So a lot going on. You'll notice as Scott's radar, that box is now flashing more of a peach or tan color. That's because it has that destructive tag. So very intense line of thunderstorms continuing to track through. It's still moving, if I believe. Let me double check. Yes, east at 70 miles per hour, east-northeast, I would say.
So we're getting ready, getting down to the top of the hour, so we're going to do a very quick reset here in just a moment. And Gabe or Britt, if you could let me know when you guys are ready for that reset. We're going to show you all the new warnings that are in effect. We have 2 active tornado warnings, and this entire line is dangerous, capable of producing winds up to 80 miles per hour. There are a few areas of rotation we continue to watch, but of course this line is moving very, very quickly as we have new warnings being issued almost by the minute. Again, looks like a brand new warning all the way out to Lansing. So this line is continuing to produce damage. We're hearing very strong winds, lots of power outages that are occurring. And as we come up here on the top of the hour, if you would be joining us for News 8 at 6, we are in live tornado coverage and severe weather coverage as we are seeing winds up to 80 miles per hour. Are we ready to take that? We're ready. All right, let's do it.
Storm Team 8 is tracking a severe weather alert.
Good evening. Welcome to News 8 at 6. We're tracking severe weather across West Michigan as very fast winds, torrential rain, and the possibility of tornadoes moves across the region at this hour. We've been in continuous coverage for about 45 minutes now. Our Storm Team 8 working off the clock or around the clock to make sure that you're up to date to these minute-by-minute changes. We'll begin with the risk of power outages because there are some very strong winds out there right now. When we checked in with the Consumers Energy map behind me just about a half hour ago, all of these counties were in yellow, just a couple hundred outages in each. You can see now some of them moving into the orange and even red category. Down here, 7,000, as many as 8,000 people out in those counties, those trending up over the last hour or so as this damaging line of storms moved in off of the lake. We're talking travel times of this storm, or travel speeds on the ground, anywhere between 60 and 85 miles an hour. So this really is a minute-by-minute situation. The worst of it is approaching the eastern parts of Kent County right now, as well as Ionia County. We have tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. For the very latest on those, we'll go back to our storm team, who is all hands on deck right now to bring you the very latest from this damaging line of storms as it moves through West Michigan. Guys, what are we thinking? What's the latest? What do people need to know right now?
Thank you, Duncan. Yeah, this is an evolving situation. So let's just do a quick reset here. You're looking at Storm Track Live. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in place from Newaygo all the way down to the state line. Where you see these flashing boxes, parts of Kent, Ionia, Berry, and Calhoun County, that is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing winds up to 80 miles per hour. And this line is moving very quickly, I believe at over 60 miles per hour right now. So that is the most damaging part of the line, and it encompasses most of West Michigan. We already saw reports at the airport in Grand Rapids of up to 80 miles per hour. You're hearing the sirens going off. That's likely due to a combination of the damaging wind potential as well as 2 tornado warnings that we have in place. Let's start off with the one in Kent County right now that's about to move into Ionia County. And this is a real mess on the radar, but if we turn on our wind tracker, we can start to see where some of the strongest winds might be with this storm. And it's difficult to tell right now. It looks like we have one main area of very strong wind, and I don't know if this is tornadic or just straight line wind activity that is moving northeast over toward Belding. If you're in Belding, you have damaging winds coming your way in just the next few minutes. But yeah, there you go. We're getting samples of, upwards of 100 miles per hour potentially. That is not good. Likely, I think a safe estimate would be close to 80 miles per hour with this line. But we're also watching for the little notches within the line. And I don't know if that one that was down south of the airport, is that still showing up on here? It's hard to tell. I don't see a whole lot.
It really has lost momentum within those latest scans, but again, close to the radar. So definitely had that couplet or that sense of rotation a little bit ago, Blake, but for now it looks like high winds.
Yeah, it looks like more of a straight line wind evolution here.
Okay, now we have the other tornado warning that is down in parts of Berry County. If we can go down there toward Middleville.
Yes.
And hard to tell. The problem is, yeah, it's difficult to tell. If you can zoom in on this area just a little bit.
Absolutely.
We're trying to see. I would still say there's several areas of rotation. If I had to pick 2 out, it looks like maybe right here in this area, and then down on the southeast side of Hastings as well. If there were to be any possible tornadoes, those are the 2 most likely places I think they would be. But it's difficult to tell at this moment just because, again, this line's getting really messy. Main threat continues to be damaging winds as this line is moving through. And even though it doesn't look all that intense, what happens is when you have a line of straight line winds that moves and it's essentially perpendicular to the radar measures winds that are flowing toward or away from the radar. So when the line is like this, the radar is pulsing down like this. It can't tell how fast the winds are blowing this way. So very strong winds are located up and down this line, but it's not showing it right now on radar except for where it has moved past the radar, and that is right now over parts of far eastern Kent County into Ionia County. And that is very significant. That might be a radar glitch, but just this general area right here, it is moving toward Belding Road, actually. That is where we have very strong winds. Tree damage likely, power line damage very likely.
Blake, so one thing, I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm a little bit concerned about here is we did see, of course, that couplet head towards the airport. If you look at our traffic map, we saw traffic come to almost a complete stop, and there was a quick flash of potential debris over I-96 along Thornapple Drive. So we're going to keep an eye out for damage reports there right now. No confirmation of that just yet. I'm seeing that Laney, our sports, emailed us that cargo containers by the airport have been flipped over and flew into the fences. So that could be indicative of potentially a tornado that did officially touch down despite it being radar indicated. So there's a lot of indications near the airport that that could have been the case. So again, treat this line quite seriously as it continues to track off to the east-northeast.
And you bring up a great point, Sarah. This line is capable of producing quick spin-ups at just a moment's notice. We have a new tornado warning in northern Kent County, Montcalm County. What's the info on this one?
Yep. Take a look.
That might be for this. I can't. No, I would think that'd be a little too off-centered.
Maybe the notch north of Cedar Spring?
Yeah. That'd be my guess. What does the warning say? Where is that?
Northeast 55 miles per hour along the line extending 5 miles southeast of Grant to near Rockford. So I think you're on the right track.
Kind of the whole line almost. Okay, so can we turn on the rotation tracker? Can we do that real quick?
Yes, let's go to that. Here we go.
Okay, interesting. Radar thinks it's right here. If we can go back to velocity.
Switched.
Okay, interesting.
There's a bit of a notch there.
Okay.
It's not as prominent in the latest scan, but it's there.
Okay, let's just treat this whole line like it's capable of producing small tornadoes. If you can zoom out a little bit, Scott, so it basically shows this northern notch, all the way down through here. Can we put a track on that moving to the northeast? I think any part of this line is capable of producing spin-up tornadoes right now, and we're likely seeing some instances of that. You said 55 or 60?
55.
55? Okay. So Sand Lake here, what time is it? 6:06, right on your doorstep. Greenville, this is heading your way in about the next 8 minutes. Treat this entire line like it's capable of producing tornadoes because it is, as of right now. We keep seeing what we call QLCS, quasi-linear convective system. That's a very fancy word for these mini spin-up tornadoes that keep occurring along the line or potentially occurring. And that's why we have 3 active tornado warnings right now. We're tracking this toward Howard City just after 6:15. This is going to be moving towards Sydney just after 6:20, Lakeview just before 6:30, eventually towards Stanton and Six Lakes just before 6:30 as well. Can we put the reflectivity on here just to kind of show, if we could zoom out just a little bit, just so I can kind of get my bearings here. Okay, so I would treat any part of this line from southern Newaygo County all the way down to Hastings, and if you're downwind of that, treat all of this line like it'd be capable of producing a weak tornado or the damage that is equivalent to a weak tornado, because I would say it likely is right now. And this is a very dangerous line, and we just heard from Sarah some of our reports in the newsroom downstairs coming in of possible damage out by the airport, which if you were with us about 20 to 25 minutes ago, we were tracking that potential, and we're still hearing the sirens going off here. I would think the warning is going to be canceled for most of Kent County. If you're in Grand Rapids, if you're in Kentwood, if you're in Cascade, the threat has passed off to your east. What we're now looking at is downstream of that, Montcalm, Ionia, soon to be moving into Eaton counties, and we have several tornado warnings that are in effect. Is there anything you guys are seeing right now? I'm just going to check my phone and do a little radar analysis myself, but if there's anything you guys are seeing.
Yeah, if you want to come over to Mon 6, we continue to track that tornado warning, the one further up to the northward. The secondary one that's in Kent and portions of Ionia County, I'm not necessarily seeing that rotation that we once did, but if we head to the north, there's where these little notches are embedded in this line. What's happening is we have this strong line of thunderstorms, so it's not going to be a clean-cut cell of a tornado, but we could quickly see those spin-ups, and I'm fairly confident that a tornado was on the ground at some point in southern Kent County based on the damage reports that were coming in and the complete stop of traffic along I-96 there. So we'll have to wait to see once this storm clears of the damage report and what the Weather Service is thinking. But this line, I do think, has produced tornadoes. So again, if you are in that tornado warning stretching for northern Kent County into portions of Montcalm, there's 2 specific areas, and I can zoom in and show you a little bit closer, that I think we need to be aware of.
Hang on. Can you go to the correlation coefficient, Sarah, in southern Newaygo County? Turn on debris tracker. Look near Grant. You see that?
That's exactly what happened with the cell that was in Kent County. So again, what you're looking at here is our correlation coefficient, which is a debris tracker. And we've seen these pops. When we start to see these blues popping, it can indicate a debris ball. So we're going to continue tracking this. This cell, I believe, is moving northeast at 55. Am I still correct in saying that?
I think so.
Let me double check on that.
Okay, I believe it's moving 55, so we're gonna track this because I do think it's on the ground.
Yep, definitely.
We need to absolutely take that seriously. One moment.
Northeast at 55, that's correct, Sarah.
All right, so let's take it out. Again, if you are in this tornado warning, you need to be taking shelter. And I do believe that they're going to continue to extend this as we move about the next couple of minutes here. So luckily moving into a fair rural area, but Titus, you need to be in your safe spot. 642 Farwell, just about 7 o'clock. If it continues to obviously hold on to then, still a little bit of a distance away, but man, we don't see a whole lot of pops of this debris very often here in West Michigan, so we need to keep a very close eye on that.
So it looks like it's tracking east-northeast, right? So it's going to be moving down the north side of Howard City. M46, which I know a lot of folks are familiar with. That looks like that's the current path it's taking, if I'm not mistaken.
That does look like the track, correct? It's hard to tell when you look at kind of the wind tracker here, but when we start to see those reds and greens mixed together, indicates a tornado. And I do think this is very well potentially on the ground, and we do not have confirmed reports of it.
And there's so many parts along this line that could very easily produce a tornado. There's no doubt that's a tornado on the ground right now in southern Newaygo County. Okay, so can we go back just a few scans, just the last like 3, Sarah? Can you just do that, step through it, step by step? And so we can see the path of this thing. Okay, so there, where this line's moving in, all of a sudden you're going to see this little ball pop up there. Right there. That's when the tornado has likely reached the ground, and now it's on the ground.
So 6:05 to now. The last 5 minutes, we do think a tornado has formed and is now on the ground.
Yep. This is just about to cross M46. Can we zoom in, see if any streets where it's going to cross M46?
Sure. Let me pull up the reflectivity.
See, it's so hard to even see it on the radar.
It is challenging.
Looks like it's near East 96th Street, approaching Elm Avenue.
Okay.
Tift corner. Again, it's
Here's
still
a new
there.
scan.
Still there.
Yeah, lifting northeast, approaching, Tift Corner, as you mentioned.
Eventually could cross 131. So if you know people traveling on 131, this is the time to get off the highway and get into that shelter. This line's moving fast. It's not a slow-moving cell by any means. Take it seriously.
And I'd say that debris ball has become more pronounced in the last couple of scans.
All right, we keep jumping around, but there's so many parts of this line. If we could look at the velocity again and zoom out just a little bit.
Do you want him to take him over?
If you could take Scott, graphics 1. Scott, do you mind taking graphics 1 for me, Gabe? Thank you. Let's look at, and then if we can zoom out, Scott, and kind of look at all the points in this line that we're tracking right now. Zoom out a little more if you can.
Okay.
Include, you see that one just north of Belding? I think there might be another couplet kind of tightening up there, north side of Belding. Keep zooming in. Just south of Greenville. South of Greenville. Due south.
Yep.
Right there.
There.
Yep. I think there might be something else happening right there.
Within that notch?
Yeah. It looks like it to me, and the radar is estimating winds up to 90 miles per hour with that. And that is, what road is that crossing over?
Here. 87 miles per hour. Let me zoom in closer here. We're talking about, it's near Bricker Road.
Okay.
Greenville Road.
Oh, Greenville Road, okay. I'm trying to think of what number that is. Well, at any rate, we're basically tracking several notches along this line that are likely capable of producing a tornado, and we still have that debris signature popping up in Newaygo County. You can go ahead and come back to the chroma key whenever you're ready, Gabe. We'll do a little bit of tracking here. We are watching several parts along this line, essentially a confirmed tornado right now. And if you can show that debris tracker for me one more time, Scott, that is moving just about to cross M46, has been there for about the last 4 or 5 scans, which is a very telltale sign, moving toward Tift Corner. M46 is this road you see right here that kind of curves up. And if you can step back just 1 or 2 frames so we can get an idea of what way this is heading. We're also tracking it on our phones, trying to get as much data as we can, as this is a very busy situation.
Give me a second to switch over to the analysis.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, go ahead and do that. That'd be perfect. It looks like it might have just crossed M46.
That debris ball continues to track north of Tift Corner right now. Yep. Let's walk through, if you can take graphics 2 that I'm on right now, we can walk through some of the streets. They've auto-populated a bit here. We have Elm Avenue, that debris ball directly over that area, headed towards 76th Street, stretching towards 62nd Avenue, eventually East 56th Street. This has got to be a tornado on the ground. I don't have any reports of it. If you're in that area and you're seeing damage after it passed through, please let us know, but that has got to be a tornado on the ground.
Won't be long before this enters Mecosta County either. Okay, so can you zoom in just a little bit more? I'm trying to see where M46 is. Looks like, okay, just over M46 on this last radar scan. We're about to move past, I think that's Cypress Avenue. Just about to cross Elm Avenue. This is where we have debris being picked up by the tornado right now, and this is going to be moving over 76th Street. So this is the one, for sure, the most telltale sign that we have a tornado on the ground. I have to thank my friend Nick for even pointing this out. When the line gets so busy, it's so hard to even pick out where we might see tornadoes because they develop so fast. This is the most pronounced radar signature we have, and this is in southern Newaygo County, crossing Elm Avenue, about to cross 76th Street as well, just north of Tipped Corner. So a fairly sparsely populated area, but it will be tracking, and if you can zoom out just a little bit more, I think this is going to be pretty close to the north side of Howard City if it continues on its path. And you can see we're watching this entire line. This entire line is capable of producing weak tornadoes. And you know what? What's going on down there by Greenville? Is there... Sarah, do you have any radar now?
It popped in the latest scan, but it's been going back and forth. I've been watching it.
Okay.
It's not nearly as prominent as the one further to the north.
Yeah, there was another spot north of Lake Odessa, but it doesn't look as strong anymore.
I just get nervous anytime I start seeing it pop up, especially for Greenville. Greenville, regardless, you're about to get damaging wind gusts. If we can flip it over to velocity.
There we go.
Right on your doorstep there, and I think that's winds still upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour all the way. Ionia, this is about to hit Ionia as well. I would assume some of these are coming in close to 78 miles per hour.
And Blake, on the debris tracker, I feel like it might be a good idea to just stick with this debris ball.
Yep, let's do
Every
it.
single scan continues to stay there. So if you pop up graphics 2 for us, we can kind of walk through at a street view what we're seeing right now.
Graphics 2.
Looking at the debris tracker there. I think that's a check in Grand Rapids, which also is kind of a little bit behind that line now. But this is what we're dealing with. So I'm gonna stick with this until we start to see this lift. We did just get another warning issued further up to the north. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that's now engulfed in that, so never mind. We're focusing on this tornado warning here. What you're looking at is our correlation coefficient. That's a debris tracker. At 6:05, we started seeing pops of this dark blue color, which does indicate that debris was being lofted up by this storm. We technically do not have confirmation that this tornado is on the ground, but I'll tell you, we don't see this very often, and when we start to see those pops, it 9 out of 10 times confirms that a tornado did in fact occur. So I'm going to take this to the street view, 76th Street, debris ball right over you right now, headed further north towards Elm Avenue, eventually stretching towards now Elm Avenue over it. It does look a little bit less prominent. That's promising, but again, we need to treat this as a tornado on the ground. Headed towards 62nd Street, East 56th Street, and then eventually if it continues to track northward and hold together, which hopefully it doesn't, hopefully this lifts because it's embedded in a line, we could see that tornado warning eventually stretch areas over 131. I did draw a track on this just a few moments ago. It's a fairly rural area. It doesn't look like it's hitting any major towns. But again, if you are watching and you are along places like Elm Avenue, 62nd Street, New Costa Avenue, Cutler Road, North County Line Road, 1 Mile Road, 2 Mile, and stretching further up to the north, this is a time to treat a tornado on the ground.
All right, we're at a quarter of the hour, so let's do a really quick reset. If we could come back to me at the chroma key, I just want to show you all the warnings we have in place. And Scott, if you can do a DMA view for us.
Yes.
What I want to show is all the warnings that we have in place right now, because there are many of them that remain in place. And we are tracking this likely tornado in southern Newaygo County, but I want to give you a reset. So Gabe, if you're able to come over to chroma key for me.
Yep, let's go back to graphics 1.
There we go. Thank you very much. All right, here's the wide view. Here's the picture. Storm Track Live showing a line of storms extending from northern Newaygo County all the way down past the state line. Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, you're in the clear. Still seeing lightning and some rain, but you are in the clear. The most dangerous part of this storm is currently located across parts of Newaygo, Montcalm, soon to be Mecosta, and Ionia County. That's where we have 2 tornado warnings that are in effect. The first should be expiring soon. Hastings, you're on the back end of this. This is really Ionia County, Montcalm, into Newaygo and Mecosta that we are most worried about now as this line is racing to the north. You see lots of lightning with it. We've had winds reported up to 80 miles per hour. In fact, the Grand Rapids Airport measured a wind gust of 81 miles per hour. So very strong winds that are occurring. Looks like we have a new tornado warning that is mostly off to our east, so we're not going to focus on that. But you see, this whole line is capable of producing tornadoes. There you see the report of 81 miles per hour. We had a gust of 59 in Saugatuck, Benton Harbor at 68. So this line has a history of producing damage. But what we're most focused on right now are these little notches in the line that are capable of producing spin-up tornadoes. Haven't had a chance to look at the debris tracker. Sarah, is it looking better?
Sorry, switch over. I was actually sampling some of those winds stretching in Ionia and Montcalm County. Those are so impressive. Those are so high.
Yeah.
Some of those reports coming in well over 80 miles per hour. I wouldn't be shocked if we had some in the 90 mile per hour range. So again, That is a strong thunderstorm. That is some of the strongest, I think, of that line that we've seen really all day. As far as that debris, it's looking significantly better, still stretching in portions. It doesn't look like they're going to extend that tornado warning, though. I think they would have done so by now, given the speed of this movement.
Yeah.
But here's what we've been tracking if you're just coming in now. This right here at some point was indicating debris in the region. So really a lot less than it was. We were seeing those pops of blue, which indicates significantly more debris just about 15 minutes ago, around 6:05 to about 6:15. So some improvement on that front. I think our focus a little bit shifting back to just the damaging wind gusts that we're really seeing along that line in portions of Montcalm and Ionia County.
And of course, you have to keep playing detective here because we can just as easily see another notch develop. One area that we may have to watch is over in far eastern Ionia County. But right now, I think, like you said, Sarah, the primary threat with this is the straight line wind that we're seeing right along the line. And that's just ahead of the leading edge. It's really, yeah, where we see those really light shades of red where we have the strongest wind. So this is just past Ionia, about to move to Portland. It's moving down I-96. We're seeing, yeah, there are winds anywhere between 65 and 80 miles per hour, and that warning remains in effect. And for 80-mile-per-hour winds, as you see there. And this is the leading edge. It comes up quickly, but we can see it moving through. All right, here we go. Here's a view. The strongest winds currently located in Ionia County. We just showed you the Consumers Energy power outage map. We'll do so again in about 10 minutes when we reset at 6:30. But bottom line, we have, looks like the warning for Barry County has been dropped. So the one tornado warning we currently have in effect is for parts of northern Kent, parts of Newaygo, Montcalm County, and that looks like at this point we don't see anything that would indicate an immediate tornado threat. Look at how much lightning is with this. Scott, are you able to put up the lightning tracker?
Yes, let me do that for you.
Thank you. Otherwise, if you have to go back to analysis, we can just do that too.
Here we go.
Yeah, 1,000 strikes, 1,200 strikes just within this part of the line. And that is indicative of just how strong this line of thunderstorms is. And we're still seeing lightning occurring on the back end of this, even in just the rain. So this is an extremely powerful line of storms. Again, if you have damage reports and can send them to us safely, woodtv.com/report it. Again, that's woodtv.com/report it. And we will definitely take any reports you have. Right now, primary threat is winds up to 80 miles per hour across parts of Ionia and Montcalm counties, just past Greenville now. And this is going to be moving out of our viewing area likely within the next half hour or so, but we are still tracking this through Montcalm County and Mecosta as well. Looks like Mecosta has the warning likely for 70-mile-per-hour winds. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. But where you see these light tan flashing boxes, that's where we have the destructive tag. That's enough to trigger the tornado sirens and your phones. That is for winds up to 80 miles per hour. And again, this is the leading edge. If we can flip back to reflectivity just to show folks what the radar is showing.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off reflectivity for just a moment so
Yeah.
that you can show the boxes.
Perfect. There we go. Thank you.
Yep.
So tornado warning does remain in effect here for parts of Montcalm, Kent, Newaygo. The tornado threat is definitely not zero, but we don't see one on the ground right now. Where you see the tan flashing, that's where we have winds up to 80 miles per hour, that warning. And then there's also a warning for Mecosta, Eaton, and then over toward Jackson, tornado warning on the south side of Lansing. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning up and down 127 in Clinton and Gratiot. So this is getting closer to moving out of our viewing area, but we're not there yet. And we continue to track damaging winds right along the leading edge. If we can zoom in again. Oh, okay, they just dropped it for.
And Blake, I just want to indicate too, I'm taking a look at power outages, which is some of our best reports as we wait for people to kind of venture out and see what's going on here. You're looking at Consumers Energy map right now, really seeing those highest amounts stretching towards Ionia County, which is where we were sampling some of those wind estimates anywhere from about 70 to 85 miles per hour. So lots of power outages across the state. You'll notice about 6 or 6.5% or so without power. This is in addition to the ice storms that have been happening in the UP and northern Michigan. So it's going to take some time to repair over the next day or so here. But again, where we're seeing those pops, very intense lines of thunderstorms scattered across Kent County, and now some of those more significant ones, more than 1,000 people without power in the city of Ionia. So
There's
pretty
a
significant.
new report from the Kent County Skywarn here. 8 inches of water over the intersection of Belmont Avenue and Lake Drive. That was as of 3 minutes ago. So that's another thing to not discount with these storms. I mean, they're dropping torrential amounts of rain in a short period of time. There could be some localized flash flooding also related to these two.
Scott, can you turn on the rotation tracker for me? I just want to see if there are any points that we're missing right now. Again, there's still so much happening with this line.
Yeah, I will say that correlation coefficient debris ball gone. So
Yeah.
we're okay there. I think
There
our
we go.
tornado threat is considerably lower than it even was about 10 minutes ago.
Yep. Okay, rotation
debris.
tracker. It's hard. It looks like just the whole leading edge of that line is rotating, which is what we
It's
would
approaching the
expect.
warm front. Yeah, it's tricky. It's going to bend a little bit in that direction, so
Yeah.
not necessarily indicative of a tornado right now.
And then if you can go back to velocity for me.
There we go. Yeah. Still seeing some incredibly strong velocity measurements there out of Ionia County, leading northward into Montcalm County. And we'll get a sampling of what the radar is interpreting here, but likely near 80 miles per hour within that leading edge as that continues to shift into eastern Ionia County there. Looks like near 70. There's near 80 miles per hour east of Fenwick.
Looks like the apex of this line is where we have the strongest winds.
Yeah. Right where there's that curve east of Sheridan.
Yep, right here. That's likely where we have the strongest winds ongoing. If you're down toward Portland, if you're along I-96, the storm's heading in your direction here in just the next few minutes. Carson City, Crystal, this will be to your doorstep very shortly as well. Still capable of producing power outages, some tree damage as well, and as very significant winds as this line continues to track northeast. And it looks like it's still moving at about 60. Give or take. So this comes quickly, but it tends to leave pretty quickly in terms of the severe threat. So we're tracking a very fast line of storms that is rolling through.
And Blake, I do want to point out, we're not getting a ton of new reports greater than what we've already discussed, between about 70 and 80 miles per hour. But Jackson reporting a wind gust of 96 miles per hour. So that's on the southern end of that line.
Might have been a
So
tornado.
don't discount the northern end. Very well could have been. They do, of course, have a tornado warning in effect there, so we won't know for the time
Wow.
being, but quite impactful.
Yeah, yeah, interesting. Huh. Yeah, but would believe it. We got 81 here in Grand Rapids. That's wild. So we're tracking severe weather rolling through. Of course, a lot of folks watching the Michigan State basketball game that's ongoing as well in the Lansing area, and they're about to get hit with these storms. If we can do one quick thing, Scott, if you can go up toward Portland, I think they're about to get hit. They're one of the last towns up in Ionia County. They're one of the last towns in our viewing area, especially in Ionia County, that will be impacted by this, along with Powamo. And you can see the area of strong winds right along the Grand River, pretty rural area, but Portland downtown itself looks like about to be hit with, yeah, that's 77 miles per hour. Okay, upwards of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds still possible with the leading edge of that. And this is, oh, there it is, right over Portland right now. Very strong winds moving into downtown as we speak, especially the north side there, yeah, right there, 70, close to 75 miles per hour. This thing is moving so fast, moving about 60 miles per hour, almost even hard to outrun it on the highway. And we have strong winds up and down the line. If we can go back up to Montcalm County just to make sure we're not seeing any areas of new rotation there. I know Scott and Sarah have both been looking at it. This isn't the leading edge. No, this is past the leading edge, isn't it? So what we'd be looking at are areas of rotation. Maybe that looks a little interesting. It's hard to pick out. Yeah.
I think we're just seeing some curvature as it approaches the warm front.
Okay.
And so I don't see anything that's held together.
Maybe
within
right
scans.
there, but that would be about.
What
would be
about
probably it.
rotation tracker? If you turn that on.
Okay. Well,
That's debris. Not seeing anything major there.
yeah.
There's